talked about, playing yourself down. There's always a higher level. There's always somebody better out there, right? And we have these talents that people admire, right? But we don't use it. We play it down. We in this bodybuilding world, we confuse humility, right? It's that you're either a guy who has this great body and you cover it all up. Well, the shirt's out of 3 sizes too big, right? So somebody says, "Oh, you're a bodybuilder?" Jerry, you know what this is like, because you're all looking for a contest, right? They go, "Oh, you're a bodybuilder?" "Oh, my Uncle Joe, he was a bodybuilder, right? He was a big, huge bodybuilder."
And they show you a picture of him, you're like, "What the hell?" It's not like whatever.
And you feel like saying, "You know what I look like under here? Let me just take off my shirt." But let him go, right? Okay. You don't want to be the guy who's wearing clothes that are 5 sizes too big because you're playing yourself down. What's the purpose of having it? But the other thing is, you don't want to be the guy with a teeny weeny tank top and little shorts, all walking around in the fine restaurant either, right? But if you play, that's mistaking what humility is. We got to use all our gifts. We work hard for them in a way that empowers them. People love your discipline. You inspire them. You can use that to create connections and relationships that you can create a win-win. They want to be around you because you're the epitome of discipline and hard work, right? That's the emotion you give them, and they can help you create connections and business opportunities or introduce you to their sister if it's a relationship that you want, right? It's an exchange in value. It's an exchange in emotion, right? But if you are taught to play it down, it doesn't matter, I got to be quote-unquote humble, then you have a tool that you work very hard for that you're just not using.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it seems like everybody in bodybuilding has been conditioned to be a machine because that's what you have to be, and you forget how to be a human. You forget all the other things that, make you a person. There was a personal development girl that came in, a woman, that Gold's Gym. I was working for Gold's at the time, and they had a sales thing where they wanted the personal trainers to be able to market themselves and stuff. So they had her come in, and she, got on the chalkboard and she drew like this little like caricature. And she said, "This is me." And we looked at it. We were like, "What the hell?" She goes, "This is my inner rock star." That's what she called it. And she was like, "Do you know what this means?" And we're like, it was so foreign to us. We're like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, if you're going to be marketing yourself, you can't market yourself the way I market myself because you're not me."
Right.
So they were trying to pull individual, personalities out of people so that when they marketed it, it would be you. And I think that in bodybuilding in general, your personality kind of gets pushed by the wayside because it's regimented, it's machine-like. It is just a job to get done. And when you get into training, you get into it because you loved it. You have a great time. It's amazing. That competition mode starts, and you start to lose track of, like you said, you still train now 5 days a week and do your cardio, because you love to do it. Well, the competition is what not necessarily a lot of us love to do. When you start putting on the protein and you're standing there freezing your butt off, and you feel all gross with the stuff on you, and you're depleted, and you're just like, what am I doing? Then that few weeks after, when you start eating again, you're back in the gym, you're getting a pump, you're talking to your friends, and you're not grumpy anymore. Like, that's what you get into it for, and like the social ability part of it, the way that it makes you feel, the way you change your body, like all those things got lost, and the person's a machine. And now all of a sudden, these guys have to step into the, like you call it, the real world. Well, you're not going to be that machine if you're trying to get a job somewhere, or if you're trying to meet, what are you going to do? Go to a bar and say, "Hey, how are you? My name's Joe." Like, "Hey, Joe, check out my arm." You're going to flex for it right on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, or she'll be like, "Hey, you want to go to a barbecue with me?" "Well, I can't because I got to get, 5 meals in because I got a show," like.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of things packed into what you said. There was so much insight packed into that. Like, for example, there's always a higher level. There's always somebody better. That mentality, again, it keeps you driving forward, right? And you'll see this on the internet all the time. Like, they see a top pro and they think, wow, he is just amazing. And what's the first thing, Jerry? You're an internet sensation. You deal with thousands of guys, right? What is a very common thing that Joe, 20-year-old, right, who's going through his journey, he's taken on this identity, he sees a pro, and what is the first thing he compliments on him? He's really humble. I like him because he's really humble, right? And so what they're interpreting is that play yourself down, play yourself down, play yourself down, right? And I'll tell you, you don't want to be the best kept secret in life. Now, again, let's shift to another challenge that works well in bodybuilding, but it will make you suffer in regular life. And when I say that, I mean business, making money, creating options, relationships, right? It's black and white thinking. That something is either good or bad. Somebody's right or wrong. And I'll tell you, that comes from a way of thinking sometimes when we have had a childhood that's been a little rocky. We don't want a lot of choices. We had too many choices as a kid. And so it's just easier to make it black or white, good or bad. Because when you only have two choices, right, the world, it's simplistic. The only challenge is that you only have two choices, and both of those choices might suck. Right. People who are more mentally and emotionally flexible, there might be 17 choices for the dilemma that you're going through. It's not black or white, good or bad, he's a thief or this. There's a lot of shades of gray. And in those 17 choices, there might be a lot of easy, more effective ways to get from point A to point B. But the black and white thinking, it really helps you. What happens to the guys who can't lock down and do this for 15 years and have a great physique? They get torn up at the very beginning. Yeah. Because there's so many training strategies, so many eating strategies. I don't know what to do. There's so much information, right? It doesn't matter sometimes, but if you can make it black or white, you'll get the most out of it, and you will continue to do it, and then you can make adjustments. Black and white thinking serves us extremely well to have a great physique, right? We can worry about it later and make adjustments, and many of us have. Many of us who have made it for 10, 15 years, we're not using the same training or eating strategy that we used since day one, right? We did adjust, but we were able to, whatever we do, whatever diet or whatever training program, this was the one. Right. I don't care what I've done in the past. I don't care what anybody else is doing. They're doing it wrong. This is the one. It serves us very well. Right. Because, there's a lot of ways to get from point A to point B. Guys don't like me to say that. I get it. Because they just tell me what to do, black or white. It serves us well. It hurts us transitioning, right? Those are the type of things. Here's the other thing is structure and discipline. We want everything to just be systematic. That's not how life works. If you're an entrepreneur, just think of how many times what it took you to find your voice or deal with different YouTube rules or this or that. You need it mentally and emotionally to be flexible. You can't just decide on a way to go and put your head down and just stay there because it makes you feel good that it's predictable. Right. Predictability, structure, it works very well here. Does not work well with making money, being an entrepreneur, having relationships.
You don't have to adapt in bodybuilding. You know what I mean? The adaptation takes place in the gym where you kind of maybe have to increase the weight or change your routine. But you know that on July 3rd of every year, this contest is there, which means 12 weeks before I start this and everything else falls away. What is there really to adapt to, with that? Well, if you're in the real world, you may have to do, multiple different things that you just have to roll with the punches and figure out how to do it on the fly. And again, it comes with part of being human, being able to control your emotions and your thoughts and feelings, which you don't have to do. You don't have to have any feelings really bodybuilding. Nothing. No thoughts, no feelings. Just go,
Yeah, having feelings, being emotionally flexible, not having those things make you a better bodybuilder. You see what I'm saying? And there's another thing, too, is once you learn how to live this Spartan lifestyle, where there's not a big waves in emotion, you don't let yourself get high or low, right? The world could be falling apart. Someone can say, look, I want to love and connect with you. You're just a hater. You just hate yourself. That's why you want to connect with me. I got to get to the gym. You're the problem. We don't even look at ourselves like, right? It's not us, right? It makes us great. Right? Then we start settling for less because we have to. Our special breed. We have to have relationships with either dysfunctional people because the healthy people aren't going to want to be around us, right? And then we're with dysfunctional people, so we learn how to keep my arm's distance. So the intensity of the relationship is so much, then we expect that. Look. It takes so much willpower, focus, energy, and time. I don't care if you think you're on the bottom. You look better, not you. The person watching this looks better than most people if they spend a year dedicating themselves to the knowledge, the insight, watching these YouTube videos, working out. You're already better than 95% of the population, and that was an investment. Okay? So the thing about it is we have to not worry about money for right now. Or relationships, or all this other stuff. We learn not to have it. And we settle. We are deadened to that because we had to become the bodybuilders that we are. And then we say, okay, I want to have the better things in life. but your standard is so low. It's like if you're used to having $100 in your bank account, you know, you learn how to live with it. Yeah. And you learn that the earth doesn't stop spinning and whatever. And that you may think that's a good thing. It serves you well to keep on focused. The world, you know what it is, Jerry, you've been around. Their worlds are falling around besides them. They're putting themselves in horribly uncomfortable situations that's setting up a challenging situation in the future, but they can block it out. They can learn to live with it so they can train and eat and win the show. I think we talked about a pro bodybuilder, you and I on the phone, that he left it all on the floor. Yeah. He didn't know how he was going to even get back.
It worked out for him, but what about next time? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing with this stuff is there's never, like, until it ends, it doesn't end. There's always the next show. There's always the next this, the next that. And, like, you just figure, like, oh, you know, you have, like, a digestive problem. You got to go to the doctor. Like, well, I got 4 more weeks. I just got to make it to my show. Right? And then you get second, and there's a show 5 weeks later. You're like, well, man, okay, no, I'm just going to jump to that one. You forget about it. You push it aside, and your health goes down. Like, you know, that's just like a small example of some of the stuff that, you know, people just
it's pervasive with everything from our health, our relationships. You know, we learn how to block out those things. We don't expect it, right? Let's just talk about that the pro bodybuilder, right? It is like they're young people nowadays. I mean, back before there's a lot of young phenoms, right? But, you know, it takes a while, 35 years or more to really develop your physique, right? I mean, especially in natural bodybuilding, if you're going to be the best, you're going to be closer to 40 years old, right? So if you're just, say, 35 years old, and you can let yourself get in a position where you can't even have a flight, you have no idea how you're going to get home, right? You left it on the floor, right? Okay, you've learned how to live with nothing, with no money, with no bank account, let it get horrible around there, right? I mean, just imagine what kind of relationship. I mean, come on. If you want later on to have a woman who wants to pick a man who makes money, who can take her, you know, her and her children in safety and security, she may think you have a great body and you're a nice guy, right? But the smart girl's going to say, let me get a guy who's kind of can take care of my future baby. Survival of the fittest, right? So you're going to let your relationship suffer, right, to leave it on the floor. You think that the moment that you've been ingraining this into your nervous system for 15, 20 years, right? You think, okay, I'm done. You're just going to all of a sudden, your standards for making more money and be just a go-getter. You think it's just going to just happen like that? Right. You're going to expect, okay, now I want in relationships, I know how to do it. Look, which goes into, so the point number 3 of an example I'm talking about is you learning to live with nothing, not expect anything amazing because you have to put it aside to become a master at what we do. You just can't turn the switch back on when you're done after 15 years. You get deadened to the finer things in life. It's going to be a challenge of cranking that back up. All right. Here's the other thing is, and I'm sure you've been in this position. We don't really understand the amount of willpower, focus, energy, and time it takes to look this way. We've learned how to play it down. We've taught ourselves to be humble about it, right? We've learned how to block everything out. Because if we realize how much we were suffering, if we realize, how much we're discontent, if we realize it was our fault, not those other people's fault, right? We wouldn't do this, right? What makes it just takes, and time is just one thing, right? Willpower, focus, energy, and time. It's funny is that my nephew, he just graduated from college, and he said, "Hey, Uncle Skip, before I go on my last year, I want to go to the gym with you. I want to learn how to get big, right?" Now, I'm at a different stage. I'm married now, 2 little kids, right? Got businesses, and now I'm trying to make up for all that time, right, that I'm talking about. And so I want to do this for my nephew, and so we met at the gym at 6 o'clock. And I was always 5 or 8 minutes late, but it's a whole different mindset because I'd have been there. The gym was everything to me at that time, right? And I was always rushing, and he was already, and I kind of felt bad. And I just said to myself, the amount of effort that I put to be into the gym and break this all down, I could have, with all this willpower, focus, and energy time, I could have discovered cancer, right? The cure for cancer with all that energy. We don't appreciate all, because it's not it's not to cure cancer. It's not cracking the code in all those other areas. Like, we have to forgive ourselves when we're not good at those other areas, because that's not where our energy is going. we have the power, we have the intelligence, and that can be frustrating. I'm a hard worker, I'm smart. Why can't I crack the code in these other areas of life? Because for years you didn't put any energy. That's it, right? But here's the thing. Again, another one of these, this mindset that makes us amazing at what we do, that's going to be a challenge in other areas of life is, if somebody, he's a rich guy, right? It's funny, like, the whole dad bod thing. I know you're on top of the news. Remember, Leonardo DiCaprio had a dad bod, right? And all the people in our world said, oh, my God, that's disgusting. What's his problem? Jeez, what's wrong with that guy, right? And I'm thinking, okay, he's a master at what he does. He makes millions and millions of dollars, has all kinds of women. Yeah, sure, he could be a little bit more ripped, but right. Isn't he everything he wants in life, right? Oscar award now, right? I mean, how's that compared to you? You got the abs, right?
We judge the other people based on what we know, and our world is not their world. Like, it's a different world. We look at them and say, well, they're failing in our world. Well, they don't even know we exist. You know what I mean? Like, everybody knows they exist. They have no idea we exist.
They don't put so much identity or happiness or journey, all the great things that we need to hold on to in our physical body. Not as much. Should they watch what they eat? Sure. And they know that too, right? But the whole what's your excuse thing, right? So, they could look at us and say, what's your excuse? How are you gonna live when you're 65 years old, right? What about your relationship? What's your excuse? Well, we would be. What if they did a picture of themselves with a big house and all their cars, and they went to the fitness world and they said, "What's your excuse?" We would say, "What? What are you talking about?" Well,
I had a show to train for. That's what my excuse was. That's what it would be,
Right. So the thing about think about this dilemma, Jerry. Right. So if someone, they're wealthy, they've got relationships and marriage, all those great things. And then they say, man, I just can't get my eating down. Now, we know it's just move more, eat less, right? But what do we say to them? We say, you know what? It's just an hour a day. It's just a lifestyle. You just got to commit to it. You just got to do it, right? Isn't that what we would say to them, right? We don't get why they don't get it.
They could say the same thing to us. Just commit to it. It's just a lifestyle.
Well, right. But here's the flip side, right? So we tell them that it's just an hour a day. It's just a commitment. That's what makes us amazing. We don't see it as this complex thing. Right. Make it simple. Just do it or don't, right? But let me ask you this. If that same person said to us, well, it's easy for you. You got genetics. You don't have it as hard as me. What would we do? What? Yeah. Do you know how much time and energy? I've been doing this for years. You know how many times I've been watching Jerry's YouTube videos and I've been learning and trying things and failing? I looked in the mirror, happy sometimes, and I just kept at it. I've been doing this for years. I think about this. You know how much meal prep I do? You know how many I got to stop and eat my meals? You know how many relationships is damaged? What are you talking about? This is easy for me, right? So you got to make a decision. Which one is it? Right. Is it just an hour a day, or are you using a disproportion of your willpower, focus, energy, and time that isn't going to master other areas of life? You got to make that decision so you can forgive yourself if you're not good at those other areas to make that transition. So then you can just address it from there. But if it's some mystery because for years you said it's just an hour a day, that's why you're great. Right. But that's why you may be suffering if you can't get those other areas of life. See, all these things are mindset. I've got dozens more, Jerry, that, I'm not telling anybody to give up their passion, their identity for fitness. But I'll tell you, if you don't know what's happening, if you're not aware, you're creating all the rules. Like I talked about in that grocery store, there's these rules that I wanted to get to the other side, but I had these rules in my head that I was so certain about that was going to make it impossible for me to get that magazine and show a friend. And I just really believe if you can get that metaphor, that analogy, that's why I think it's tough for us to make that transition. We have all these rules in our head of the way people should be and shouldn't be. We should be and shouldn't be. How life should work and shouldn't work. We've made it black and white, and it serves us very well. And it's made it this. It's not going to work in the regular world. We're smart enough. We've learned this discipline and skill set. We've got it in us. We just don't understand the playing field. We don't understand our rules, how they're hurting us. Once we have this self-awareness, we got it. We have what it takes. We demonstrate. And intellectually, all of us know that. no matter how we're suffering. And that can be really frustrating. That, look, I'm a hard worker. People admire me. I've shown it with my body. Why can't I crack the code? And I'll tell you, as guys get older, 40, 45, 50, 55, you got two choices. They can settle, and then not feel the pain, or they can go their whole life feeling the pain. And either way, that's what my new mission is I want to help people make these strategies. I want them to enjoy their identity and still look great. I want to believe that I'm an example of still looking great. But because I understand this, again, I credit my starting bodybuilding at 27. I credit at 6 years of personal development, 33 years total, to have this insight. I want to share it with my brothers and sisters. And I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't. There is a way to do them both, but you just have to know. And I just really think that's what all my story, all my ups and downs, all my pain, all my victories, all the controversy, all the polarizing, right?
Yeah.
It's going to give me a platform to help other people. And I really appreciate this format, especially from a guy like you who had to go through the self-doubt. Can I do this? How do I crack the code? And you have this massive loyal following, and you're inviting me on your show to maybe connect with people if they can identify. I really appreciate it. And I wouldn't be here if I wasn't that focused bodybuilder that threw his whole life off kilter. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be on your show, be exposed to your massive following. So, again, I really appreciate it. And just like what you've done, just what I believe that I'm doing, just like everybody, it doesn't matter what happens to you in your life. Everything can serve you. It's just your job. Like, like the Gold's Gym motivational speaker said, it's your job to get your unique ingredients to create something that's going to serve you and other people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great thing you're doing. I'd like to have you back on again and maybe actually come up with some rules or something that, we can kind of help people kind of put into play. If people want to get in touch with you, Facebook, obviously, that's how we got in touch. Is there an email address?
Yeah, so skip@skiplacour.com is where they can directly get a hold of me. All my social media. Now, I'm not a big YouTube guy like you. I want to grow that, so I invite you guys over. When you want to know when I was dedicated bodybuilder, there's tons of video footage there. But what I'm doing now is adding this element, and that's YouTube at Skip LaCour, so that might be the easiest transition. But this topic that I'm talking about right now, and my wife, by the way, she was a 9-year competitor. We're going through this journey together. I've helped her, kind of round out her life. It's our journey together. We're sharing our story. It's a website. It's called setyourlifeuplikeacontest.com. And I can setyourlifeuplikeacontest.com. And it's because it's going to take this mindset, how we feel in control, how every minute of the day is accounted for. We have something to do. 50 times a day, we have this vision of how we're going to look on stage that one day. There's no greater feeling. You know what I'm talking about, Jerry, right?
Absolutely.
What if you could set up your entire life like a contest and win big there too? That's my message. So that you can go to setyourlifeuplikeacontest.com or go to my Facebook page at Skip LaCour, because there's a lot of competitors there, and I'm using that as my grounds to get the conversation. Because I'll tell you, when I was talking about personal development, I've got this whole Man Formation program. I didn't have this much energy. It wasn't the combination of how you use your talents, how the Gold's Gym motivational. I wasn't using my talents. I didn't have this much energy. I really believe in everything that I do, but not at this level, right? And it's just interesting because I would give what I believe great motivational material, but it didn't interest them. But when I started talking about setting your entire life up like a contest so you can win big there too, it really made a lot of people really interact with me. I said, I am relevant, right? And that's just because I used all the talents, all my contest victories, all my pictures of all those years. And I just want to emphasize that, if you're listening to this right now and, maybe it's creating a little pain, maybe this is something you should listen to, but you don't want to give up this certainty, this identity that you created as a body. I'm not telling you to give it. I want you to do it 100 times better than me, and you can, right? You don't have to give up anything. It's just and, it's not or. So that black and white thinking, it's either this or that, right? In life, there's an and. We're not good at thinking of and. I want to introduce you to have your body, have your identity, stand out, continue your passion for fitness, and set your life up to serve you best in the long run, too. It's possible, and that's what my new mission on this earth to be. You thought I was this drug-free bodybuilder, you thought I had a great physique. That's going to be nothing to what the impact I'm going to make moving forward, right? And again, I've said this already quite a few times. Gary, thank you so much for this platform that you work so hard, this following that you work so hard, that I get to introduce, my passion to your audience. I really appreciate it. I know the work. I know the risk that you took with emotion to put yourself out there to earn this following. And I'm just standing on your shoulders here. I'm humbled and thankful. Right?
I appreciate you coming on, man, and we look forward to having you on again soon. I can't wait to get this up because I think it's going to help a lot of people. So I will definitely be in touch with you soon, and we'll work it out to get you back on here and maybe start pushing in a different direction, see where we can help.
Awesome. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate that. Can't say it enough. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Thanks, kid.